I'm incredible at hand jobs, but I also got a 1560 on the SATs. My name is Matthew Kroll.
I fuck with Hufflepuffs. I'm Jamie Walsh.
Nobody's winning in that outfit. I'm Kristen Fajt.
And did you fuck Miss Fine? This is Nick Parker.
And this is the only podcast about movies, specifically the film Booksmart. Now, Booksmart. Audience, dearest listeners, friends from across the globe, you might notice our wayward New Zealander is not present for this film, and it hurt my heart so deeply that I had to bring in the big guns. Shahir is off at work, at a job, making money. One of us has to. So with me, as sometimes but never in the exact same room together to review a film, we have art director Jamie Walsh, we have production manager Kristen Fajt, and we have post coordinator / licensed drone operator Nicholas Parker.
We all saw the movie together.
Yay! We did it. It's almost as if we're friends. No,
Almost.
Everyone's been on the show before. Jamie, you were on 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, super recently.
See you yesterday.
At your apartment a lot.
That is also true.
I don't know why.
And then, of course, Nick and Kristen, you've been on the show quite a bit. You did Warcraft.
Yep. We did a Pirates.
Oh God, the fifth Pirates movie.
The fifth Pirates
So
movie.
only the cream of the crop do I bring the two of you on for.
Yep, just the really special movie.
Well, I know it is very sad Shahir being out of town. I know he was excited to do this film. But the only other film I saw this week was Godzilla. And guess what? Spoiler alert, not worth talking about.
Not even Mothra?
Mothra was dope.
Oh, good.
No question, Mothra was the highlight of that film.
Great. Okay.
However, meh.
And it wasn't about that.
Yeah, it's very true. It should be about Mothra, but it wasn't. No, we decided to do Olivia Wildes' Booksmart because I was very excited to see this film. I love me a good coming-of-age comedy, and the trailer for this made it look really, really fun. And so I was pumped for it, and I'm sure Shahir will give his thoughts next week when he is back. But yeah, I figured this would be a really good one to see. The problem was, why we couldn't do it earlier, was it was getting really limited releases outside of the sort of super major chains in New York City. I believe in Astoria, Jamie, we can only see it at 11:45 at night once a day.
Odd, because the cast showed up. There was a lot of it didn't feel like an independent film.
I mean, it wasn't.
The cast
Yeah,
showed up to the
I guess
theater?
that's my point. I haven't done my homework. I'm sorry.
No. We're literally, just so everyone knows, it's been a crazy week. So we are coming at this hot off the theater. We downed some burgers on the way home, and now we are here filled with just meat and either joy or rage. I'm not quite sure because we haven't spoken about it one lick.
We walked home in pure silence.
It was weird, but kind of comfortable. And I will say, so before we get into all of our thoughts on the film, I do have a wonderful iTunes review.
Ooh.
If I need to read it out because it's so kind. It's from our friend Jacob. We talked about, we read an email from him, I believe, last week, but he writes, I've been searching for a podcast about movies for a long time, and then in parentheses, so much so that I've thrown my own hat into the ring with my own podcast, Movie Motion. It's very good. You should check that out. Continuing on, he says, the things I was looking for. 1, introduces me to new movies as well as covering those I'm interested in. Okay, I hope we're doing that.
You do that.
Let's see. 2, a full spectrum, respectful review of movies, a place where both peasants and kings, he writes, can feast together in harmony. I hope we provide that as well. And then 3, witty, intelligent hosts that are second in focus only to the movies they are covering, revealing the nuances of humanity as the stories of cinema reflect off of them. With the only podcast about movies, I got all of those things I was looking for, and I am exceptionally grateful for it. Thanks, guys. You rock. No, thank you, Jacob.
Wow.
That was
Jacob.
that might be the most rave review I think we've ever seen. Jacob and I, we disagreed on some John Wick stuff, but I think all is forgiven.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Jacob, thank you so much for writing in. If you'd like to write us an iTunes review, leaving 1, 5 stars, whatever you feel is the fairest. We obviously prefer 5. Please do that. Also, you can email us in at onlymoviepodcast@gmail.com or tweet at us at onlymoviepod. Shahir is super active on there, and I like to watch both you and he go back and forth, and I chime in with my little jabs when I can. But we are going to go all the way back to 2019 when we were all in high school.
Yes.
All of us together.
All of us together.
I remember that.
When we went to high school in LA.
The graduation was great.
Oh, it was so good.
Is that what California's like?
Yeah. What do you mean?
I think so.
Well, I'm from the cold north of the East Coast, Maine.
Yeah, you're above the wall.
And that's true.
Congrats
And,
to Toronto on that win.
Hey, fuck you, Nick Parker. And that's it's just anytime I see a movie that takes place in California, I'm like, wow, things are real different over there on the
it's
West
a different
Coast.
world over there.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, there was no interruption. But that is, I
it
believe.
is a point that I have. That's like, whoa, California's different.
Those house parties are dope.
Yeah, they have really good set
are.
design out there.
They have good set design. No, I mean it is, and it's interesting too because again, we've been living in New York for quite some time, but we all came from towns where you couldn't just walk. I think to all the parties, you had to like find the address and go there. And dare I say, we might all be old enough in this room, with the exception of Kristen, to have remembered a time before we could just Uber or Lyft to a place.
They didn't have Uber when I was
Yeah,
in high
she's-
school. We
Kristen
had
is-
to
You're
take
like
our
22.
horse-drawn
Kristen is
carriage like
22.
everybody else.
No, but I will say something I did relate to in this movie was not having the number to get to the party.
Oh yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, something I do want to talk about a little bit later is how this. Well, we'll get into it after we do it, but like how this movie. No, you know what? We can actually talk about it right now. So before I give the IMDb description of what this film is about,
Sure.
I would like to kind of go around the table, and since this is a coming-of-age graduating high school tale, I would like to hear how everyone's sort of either last night before graduation or last party before graduation was, or how the transition occurred, and was it joyous? Was it full of triumph, or was it sort of a miserable experience, or was it actually like a combination of the two? For instance, just for me, I'll go first to sort of give everyone time because I sprung this on you. I had a great graduation. I was actually one of the two MCs of my the graduation.
Of course you were.
It was the best job because I didn't have to have any of the academic achievement, but I could just introduce all the people that had the academic achievement, and I could tell jokes, and I could threaten to come back and climb the football light posts in the nighttime and have a weird side eye with our local police officer on the premises. However, then I went to a party at the end, and the party, while it was not as epic as the one at this, was kind of a culmination of all my friends, and I had some ups and down moments. There was a girl that I liked at the time that like actually didn't even show up to the place, but there was always like that weird magical hope of like she would show up, and she never did.
Aww.
But then much like some things we'll discuss in this film, like you kind of find your own sort of like special moments in the thing. And I do remember actually, this is the weirdest thing, but I remember partying so hard that I completely remembered going to sleep. And then the next morning, I woke up next to one of my very good friends, Diana. We were all like crashing downstairs in a big like sort of group, and she had taken care of me that night, just sort of making sure I didn't die. And it was just one of those moments where I'm like, God damn, you're a good person. And we kind of had a very nice, like, a sort of cathartic experience. And it made me bring into, who's your real friends?
Yeah.
Some champagne for my real friends, some real pain for my sham friends. So I kind of had that experience, there. And so I'm just curious, that echoed for me in this film. Would anyone like to start with any of their own experiences? Kristen, you breathed first.
Oh my God. So I went to a very small Catholic high school, Trinity Catholic High School.
What up, Trinity?
What up? TCHS.
Did you have to wear a uniform?
Oh, I had a
Was
uniform.
it like Trinity from The Matrix?
What?
Yeah,
Who's
everybody was
Trinity
dressed
from
like
The
that.
Matrix?
Like Trinity at the Matrix.
Like
That's what I
Carrie
figured
Ann
those
Moss.
schools were.
What's-
Nick's shaking his head.
Yes.
What's
Oh, yes.
Trinity
Yeah.
at the Matrix?
Trinity in the Matrix. You
Guys,
know,
Trinity.
I'm not that young, okay?
Kristen.
I swear to
Kristen's
God.
never seen The
Kristen,
Matrix.
Kristen, not like this.
she hasn't-
But yes, of course, it was just like that.
Okay.
And I will say there was like the week leading up to graduation, everyone just kind of became friends with each other. Like, it's not like anybody didn't dislike one another. Like, I truly don't think that anyone in my high school really like hated each other or like really bullied each other. But there was like this feeling the week leading up to graduation that's like everyone's just going to be friends.
Cool. Yeah.
And there was this one guy who always used to have parties, And he had a party like right before graduate, probably like the week before graduation though.
Yeah.
I think we graduated on like a Thursday or something. Like it was not like a
Fair.
epic weekend or whatever. But I mean, it was really cool to kind of just like, you know, my high school did activities where like all the seniors kind of just like bullshitted for the week and just hung out with each other and like just got to go to like the beach one day. And like, so I do think that there wasn't like one specific party or moment or something, but it was kind of just like the underlying feeling of like the whole week of like, okay, like we're all kind of taking it in. We don't really have to do any more like school work.
Senioritis.
The school kind of, senioritis sinks in. And it was just really cool and sweet. And yeah, so I think when I look back at like graduation, I kind of think about that more than like one epic night of partying.
It was all about sort of the coming together for you, it seemed.
Yeah. It definitely was. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, that was also the moment that you didn't know it was going to happen, but you would become best friends with Meredith.
That's true. My best friend to this day is somebody that I went to high school with, and we found out that we were going to Quinnipiac, the college that we went to, like in those weeks.
Yeah.
And it turns out that we happened to, at school at Quinnipiac, live in the same dorm, and she's like my very best friend to this day.
Aw.
There you go.
Yeah,
And they did not talk to each other in high school.
No, we weren't friends in high school. We became friends that week.
Well,
That last week.
there's something magical about the last week.
I kind of love
It
that.
just, it was.
See,
yeah,
that's
it's
you
very
should
cool.
have led with that.
I'm sorry.
It was a long way to get there, but we did.
I know. It just feels like we've been friends forever.
That's
guys. I
good.
forget.
All right, Nick, Jamie, anything? They're both staring at each other.
No, I breathe first.
Okay.
I don't really have any. I drove a lot of my friends around. I didn't really party that much in high school,
You were like
so I
AAA.
drove them around. No.
Just by way of reference.
Yeah, we'll get to that later. But I was not AAA. But I drove them around, and they would provide me with gas money and food money, so
Yeah.
that I would take them to Jack in the Box and give them drunk food, and then make sure they got home safely and stuff like that.
Aw.
That's good.
And then we had a lock-in the night before graduation.
Really?
Yeah, which was
Who died?
no one
Murder
died
mystery.
that I knew about, but we played broom ball, which was fun. And the pool was open, and we stayed there all night, and there's basketball courts and all that kind of stuff. So it was fun. Great bonding, great bondage.
Great bondage at the end of the night. Hey,
Yeah.
as all good nights.
Quite the high school
did.
party
Yeah.
that you
But
went
yeah,
to.
so St. Charles West Warriors. Shout out to Mr. Birch.
There we go.
Aw.
Jamie?
So as previously mentioned, I wasn't very cool in high school. Or
What?
now.
I mean, I don't know if any of us were very cool in
That's
high
true.
school.
Well, no, I mean, I didn't go to parties. I think this is true of at least you as well, Matt. But like, I didn't drink, and I kind of, kept to myself. I was in my own little sort of like corner world with my friends at the small part of the cafeteria. I was president of the theater club.
Woohoo.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was great. But I didn't. Yeah, I don't think I had like big parties, but it's the same. I guess the thing that the last like big event that stood out to me was prom, because it was a moment where like. Frontline statement. I loved prom.
yeah,
It
good.
was the only time that it was like, yeah, you're gonna go to Macy's and you're gonna buy a gown, and it's gonna be fun, and everyone's just gonna. I didn't know that I liked dancing
dance.
before prom. That was new because I never had the opportunity for that. So I really like unleashed, and then we all slept in my friend's basement. And it was retrospectively, it was kind of perfect because there was like one very dramatic person that kind of wrecked the night and then like left early, and we were like, wow, too much.
Scandal.
And then like one of my friends later like had sex with her boyfriend in a bathroom, but we all knew it was happening, but we were being hush hush about it.
You're being
And
supportive.
then like my prom date and I really liked each other, but we weren't making a move, but we like slept next to each other in sleeping bags and like whispered to each other all night.
That's respect.
It was very fun.
You didn't like connect zippers?
No, we didn't.
Oh, wow.
That would have been too.
It would have been a
that would
double-
have been.
it would have been
yeah.
a double.
No, we were very conservative.
Okay, I respect.
Yeah, and then same thing. We had a senior trip right the day we graduated, and a bus picks you up at a certain spot, and then all the seniors get on a bus, and we went to Boston, and we went to a medieval. It's not medieval manor. Is it medieval times? Medieval times.
There's not a medieval times in Boston.
There was then.
I love how you know that there's
I'm
not a
pretty sure
medieval
there's not.
times.
I'm gonna Google that.
We went to one, and then we went on a harbor cruise, and it was the same thing. Like it was. I don't want to say that my high school was cliquey at all, but like, everybody was a little aloof, and there were people that I like never spoke to in my class, and it wasn't that big. But everybody was like, we did it, and there is a real sense of camaraderie when you graduate, and it's real, and it's refreshing and pleasant. And so that was something in this movie that I saw, and I was like, that's very genuine to me.
Yeah.
I did like that.
But there's no medieval times in Boston, so
Matt, I don't know what to tell you.
I don't know what weird drugs you did on your senior trip.
I don't know where they took
dance,
you.
And there was an innuendo about taking a cherry, and then I ate a mutton on a stick.
You went to an off-brand
It wasn't
medieval
off-brand.
time.
Are you sure?
Wait, look up off-brand medieval times and let's
That's not what this is
go.
about.
This is what I did for my high school. Just leave me alone.
Okay, all right.
I think
fair.
you went through the set of grown-ups.
Wow.
Maybe.
I mean, it's possible. So my whole point in this exercise was to sort of, we get with a lot of coming-of-age film, a couple different, I guess, stereotypical ways that they're normally set up. You have sort of, and this happened a little more in the 80s and 90s stuff when it's very like, cliques versus cliques, jocks versus nerds, and one group is going against the other, and one is painted as the bad people and whatever. Then you've kind of got into almost past Superbad into sort of, I'll even go with a 21 Jump Street, like the most recent one, not 22 Jump Street, because that's college and that's different. But like this sort of, I guess I'll call it like the millennial high school experience at this point, or what sometimes I hope it is like, and I don't know how it is, obviously, because I haven't been in high school in a very long time. But like this experience of cliques aren't really a thing. People are doing their own stuff. You have your friends, but that's who you're close with, and you might not be sort of the most popular or like the most involved, but like everyone knows your name. No one actively is out to destroy or just completely act like you do not exist beyond a certain amount of things.
It's less of a stage drama in this movie than it was in when there's a villainous character.
Well, I'm even
like
saying
people,
saying even like 21 Jump Street, like the characters they kind of set up to be the douchebags like aren't really the douchebag. Like it's just it seems like in the current day of high school coming of age tales, a lot of times
there's more sympathy for high schoolers.
Well, there's more sympathy for high schools. I feel like it's a more accurate depiction of at least how people interact, and it's still funny and poignant and emotional when it's supposed to be. And I actually really enjoy it. And I enjoyed that this film sort of did the same thing.
Yeah. Why don't we talk about what the film's about on IMDb?
Oh, right. IMDb says, on the eve of their high school graduation, two academic superstars and best friends realized they should have worked less and played more. Determined not to fall short of their peers, the girls try to cram 4 years of fun into one night.
That is literally what happens in the movie.
Literally, very accurate.
Thank you, Rob Lowe.
I've been watching a lot of Parks and Recreation.
That was literally Rob Lowe. And that's exactly what happened. First of all, let's talk Olivia Wilde real quick. A director of this film, Olivia Wilde.
Oh my God, this is her debut, right?
Yes.
Her directorial debut.
It's always interesting when actors that you like sort of take the reins behind the camera, and I always get a wee bit nervous going into one of those films because you like them and all of the stuff that they do. But what if they suck at this? Then you might have to readjust the way you think about them.
Yeah.
I wasn't nervous because I keep hearing that in any small project that Olivia Wilde is working on, she is very involved and very hands-on with the film and offer suggestions, and it sounds like is very enthusiastic about the process of filmmaking. So I sort of thought it seemed natural for her to step up here.
I think she's done, like you said, some smaller projects and stuff. Like she's directed music videos before and a couple other things, but this is her first feature, and her partner, Jason Sudeikis, was in it, which also I always feel like it must be such a weird thing for them to like, you direct like your partner and you're both actors, and is that weird? I don't know, but his character too he had a small role, but I thought he was hilarious.
Yeah, he did a good job.
Oh my God, so good.
Yeah. The point being, I think that I went into it, I think maybe with just a little less of knowing her outside of her acting stuff that it was going on. Jamie, you breathed. Everyone who breathes gets to talk.
Oh, okay.
That's the baton.
That's the talking stick is breathing.
Yeah.
Well, this is gonna super blunt comment. I think the directing was good in this film. First, from the perspective of someone who doesn't, sorry everybody, know that much about filmmaking. I think my problem was in the writing of the film, and it was a big problem because I didn't like the film.
Wow, you're jumping all over the dang spot.
Yeah, I'm coming out to say. How about this? How about everybody says scale of 1 to 5? How did you like the film?
5?
Scale of 1 to 5.
Scale of 1 to 5, 1 being the best, 5 being the worst. You just want to blow this cart out of the water right in the first 20 minutes of the podcast?
I don't know.
All right, no, you called it. Shahir's not here.
Let's
do it.
No rules.
So 1 being the best, 5 being the worst? You go.
Yeah,
you
I
made these
guess
rules.
so.
Go for it.
Oh, Jesus. Okay. Well, I'd say 3.
Okay, Kristen?
1's the best?
Yeah.
I'd say 2.
2.5.
Okay. I would go, and so this is the weird thing. This is on just how much we liked it. This isn't like it's the perfect film.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
and like
I'm going to give it a fucking solid 1. I think this movie is a goddamn delight. And I think that comes a lot from, I do think that the directing has a lot to do with it, because I don't think that I would say if I had to pick a weak spot of it, it wouldn't be the individual writing per se, but it would be how the clever writing is sort of handled and put together, and that could be a pacing issue,
That's
that could
well
be
put.
some editing stuff in there.
Yeah.
This movie does fall prey to a trope that has happened time and time again, but a lot of times it doesn't pull it off. And even though it's not my favorite, I think this movie does pull it off. This movie is a series of scenes intercut with like slow motion footage from various like 13 music videos.
Yeah.
Like it's just a ton of sound ups. It's just all music and slow mo footage and like cool stuff happening, and then a scene happens, and then for the next one it's and it doesn't have like a sort of connective tissue or a flow to it, because the flow is start stop start stop start stop. But I also think that was done as well as that specific mechanic can be done.
Yeah.
And I think the sort of joy that the actors bring to almost every role kind of superseded that.
There's a cool flip-flop of that too in this movie. It's like one of the first scenes where like it's Molly and what's the other character's name? Amy. Molly and Amy. So Amy is coming to pick up Molly, and there is this like really cool like background music and whatever,
And the dancing,
dancing, and then it just cuts and you see them dancing on the street to no music.
Nothing.
And it's perfect because like if you were a passerby on the street and saw these two girls like dancing, that's exactly what you would see. And I think it's kind of the opposite of that though. Like it started with a really strong music cue, and then it just went cut, and it's just them dancing on the street like you would do with your friends in high school.
And maybe it's certain. No, I agree with that. And maybe it's the fact that it didn't, like from the get go, it didn't take itself that seriously in that regard.
Yeah.
Not that it took a lot of sort of serious stuff, but like when a film sort of tells you, I'm big on this on the show. When the film tells you the rules of what the film's going to be and it sticks with them, I will forgive a lot of things. Although not, I am curious though, Jamie. So you did not connect with this film whatsoever, and you believe it to be the writing.
Wow, no, I gave it a 3, not a 5. So yeah, I think it's the writing because I kept trying to pinpoint what was bothering me, and there were storyline things that bothered me for sure, which I'm sure will come up. But my first complaint, which I thought of early on, was that every joke, every moment of reference I've already seen before. It's a meme. It's from the internet somewhere. There's even a moment like Sex Education happened this year. It was a show on Netflix about British teens, having sex or not. And like when she's in the bathroom stall and she corrects someone's grammar, that scene is from a different thing. And like to a degree where it's even like adding the apostrophe to to correct your. And like there were a lot of things that were just very small jokes that I was like, yeah, that's from the internet. We've heard that joke because it's been referenced by something else, or like even like this isn't a spoiler, but like at the end there's this graphic of everybody getting hit by water balloons in slow motion, and like the slow motion face dysmorphia thing happened as a trend a few years ago. Like it felt very internet researched, and it really bothered me because I felt like that's not how you should write jokes into a movie.
To me, that just felt character specific.
How was it character specific?
Like she was the one that was the smart one that we ended up that
We won't get into too much spoilers, but as we sort of said in the beginning of what the IMDb thing is, these are both the two main characters,
they're
Molly and
very,
Amy,
very
are
smart.
incredibly intelligent. They've worked really hard, and then they realize that despite that, everyone is still moving on with their lives, even the burnouts and the jocks and whoever was deciding to just
they've
do
all
whatever.
actually been successful.
They're all
as well,
successful
and they're
as well.
having a super fun time while they're doing
that's
it.
a really interesting thing too. Is like
Yeah.
what you were saying about like stereotypes and stuff in these kind of movies. Like this is the first movie that I can think of where you see like those stereotypical burnouts or, you know, party people or whatever. And they're like, no, we actually are smart as well. Like, we're just, you know, we have fun too. And it's just like, oh, yeah, like that. I guess that is possible.
even
like,
the
maybe
one guy
let's
who's
shatter
like,
that
I'm
glass
not
a
going
little
but
bit.
everyone has
Like,
their own type of fun.
That's true. That's
Yeah.
absolutely true. And the two main characters 100% had their own kind of fun. Absolutely, you know. So, I don't know.
And I would say even the main conceit is that the main characters around the 1/3 mark at least think to themselves that they are now, in fact, the wrong, that they've been doing high school
Wrong.
in a incorrect way.
Yeah.
And it's a very high school thing for them to be like, well, we've got one night. We've got to fix it in this one night. Like,
Yeah.
it's a,
I want to go back a little bit, Jamie, to your sort of the thing that sounds like caught you off guard was that the individual jokes themselves, you felt like you'd seen them all elsewhere, right?
yes. It felt like everything was like, oh, and remember when this was funny on the internet? Let's write it into the script.
So I will 100% agree that I noticed that and felt that though that was what was happening. To me, it was kind of a boon and furthered the actual world that the film was trying to put us into. And because this is the truth of it, this I think I might feel this way because my actual legitimate job that people pay me money for is being a cartoon on the internet. Seriously, go check out Extra Credits on YouTube.
Plug.
My life is now literally on the internet. I watch more YouTube and Twitch than any other form of media outside of films for this show. It seems like these days, and it's to the best of my old ability, it seems like a lot of the not only is culture referential, but the culture is being referential. It like it's almost like it's the vernacular of the day is to understand and do those sort of things. And now granted, if for instance that your apostrophe RE moment in the bathroom where she's correcting the graffiti is a legitimate ripoff from another series, I think that's a problem. But I don't think that the fact that the film itself is referencing trends with its own writing of its story that these teens would then be also interested in sort of playing it with together. Like, it made it feel more real and of the time for me. I know that's sort of like a meta in a meta, and I don't know if I'm explaining it entirely
it's a very
well.
meta point. No, I think what you're saying makes sense. I think my problem is just that if they had been saying the jokes as though they understood them, it would have been one thing. But like meta for us, to me, feels like they're trying to scoop a joke from somewhere that's already made the joke to put it into a script so that we're like, yay, and you know, it didn't sit well with me. It didn't sit in my belly well.
And there's
sorry.
Oh yeah, I was just going to close that off.
One sort in the same vein, these two characters especially, you know, they set it up very early. It's they've clearly grown up in the Me Too era, the Trump era, where they are primed to push for feminism, and you see all of those icons that have really been marketed at this point, you know, towards us. Like Ruth Bader Ginsburg is now like you can just buy things with her on it because
She better be seeing a profit for that.
Because I don't know, but feminism has been merchandised, and so I was seeing that in the movie a lot, very heavily, very intensely, and I was like, okay, they're really laying this on thick, so I think there's going to be a point here. And it never really came.
That's fair.
That bothered me a lot, to a point where like they have a word between them where like if they say the word, the other person has to go along with it because it's really important to them. And the word is Malala. And like that's an activist who was shot in the head for trying to go to school as a girl. And they were like, I want to go to this party, Malala. And I was like, oh, I hate this.
That's
That
entirely
really, like,
fair.
And I kept waiting for kind of there to be a point about that, and it just didn't come to anything. And that really bugged me beyond anything else.
Yeah, so I'm going to slightly disagree, but then swing back to disagreeing to agreeing with you. I don't think that the commercialization of feminism in this movie is a problem because literally everything is commercialized. It's almost like putting it on the same sort of playing field as all other things in standardized cinema. So in a way, in our terrible corporate way, it's a good thing.
But it's also very real.
But here's the thing. It's a good thing in the film. It's a good thing for film to be doing in that way. I don't think the commercialization of everything is a good thing. I'm saying if we're seeing it in a film, that means it's pervasive in culture, and that is an important thing. I 100% do agree with you, though. Like there are aspects of the film that I wish it did actually hit more, and I think I was personally enveloped in the ride where it didn't bother me in the moment, but you actually saying that, yeah, that's a bit problematic to use all of that stuff as, I won't call it punchlines, but like as basis of silly character interaction, and then not have it sort of pay off in the end. Now, granted, you could say it does sort of in the girls learning about themselves and what is actually important and what's not, and they actually do kind of stop talking that way progressively as they sort of like go on their journey. So while it does not have a classic like, and this is why this is important in a clever or outwardly way, I might say that the fact that I just literally talked myself in and out and into it again. It might actually be handled in a sense, and not incredibly well, but handled in a sense where they stop sort of doing the commercialized jargon of feminism and they just actually start like trying to be themselves and living their actual lives.
I think also too why they set it up so strongly in the beginning of the film, especially, is because they want you to know that like these are two very strongly opinionated and very strong and very comfortable with
Very
themselves
focused,
and
yeah.
very focused. Like Molly has her heart set on being the youngest Supreme Court judge in the world. And like, that's just kind of like how they view the world. And like her meditation is even like, says something like, fuck all the people below you or something, like you're amazing or whatever. So I think like to your point, it did kind of phase off a little bit as like their story and their night progressed in the movie. But I think that like it was laid on very thick in the beginning because, you know, Amy, is that the other girl's name?
Yes.
She's like going to Botswana and like that's how she's spending her summer, and like they're doing all these like progressive, like really feminist, like strong, amazing things. And I think that was more of like a way to just set up like who they are and what they believe in, and that more than, I don't know. But I do see your point though about like making silly jokes and references to like some very strong things that maybe shouldn't have been.
And
so
it almost felt more like it was a reference for us. You know what I kind of
it
feel
could
like
have
as
been.
if it was
Yeah,
set up to
like
be
a
like
nod to the audience,
Hey,
like-
you probably are in the midst of this sort of merchandisation of feminism, but you might not have realized it. You're going to relate to these characters. Look at all the things around them to relate to them.
yeah, that could be.
It irked me. It irked me. It irked me. I was irked.
Nicholas, what about you? Was there any what's your I will say this. What is your favorite and then least favorite thing about the film? You can go in either order.
I'll go least favorite was how I felt like they couldn't differentiate comedy from sincere moments.
Okay, talk about that.
And to me, it was very evident with the crowd, the audience that we were sitting with. Because towards the end, there's a very, very kind of like a sincere part.
You had a
besides,
terrible,
for those of you who don't know, don't ever see a movie with me because I attract the worst people at movie theaters.
You are kind of a weirdo magnet when it comes to the theater.
It's very true. So aside from the fact of the gentleman next to me and his girlfriend talking the entire time, let me tell you something. If you're listening, I have something to tell you.
To them directly.
Yes.
Okay.
And to anyone else that talks during movies.
Uh-oh.
If they wanted you to talk, they would write you into the script. That's all I have to say.
Yeah.
But there were times where there was a lot of comedy and then a touching moment would happen. And sometimes I even felt like, do I chuckle at this? Like, because it's kind of funny because of what just happened, but she's crying. Like, this is kind of sincere. Like, something major just happened.
Yeah.
And then boom, comedy, and then I could hear the laughs a little bit. There's kind of like the it's kind of funny, but type of thing. So the comedy for me and the sincere moments felt
Wait, like whiplashy?
Well,
or did they drown each other? You weren't actually even whiplashed. You just sort of like weren't taken with the ride when it switched.
I didn't know like what they were trying to make us feel, how they were trying to make us feel.
Yeah, it's a delicate balance to find that like tender humor in something that is genuine and you're trying to reach a different point in the scene.
Yeah, and maybe I kind of wanted a little bit of that in the front end of the movie, which we didn't get.
Mm-hmm.
So just to have it all at the end, because to me, as soon as when we get into spoilers,
and we'll get there right after this statement.
Yeah,
So you can actually, if you want, we can get into spoilers right now if it's helpful for your
Yeah.
statement.
So-
Spoilers now.
basically, after they go to the first party and there's no one there, I immediately knew how this movie was going. I was like, all right, they're going on a journey. This journey is going to take them to a lot of different places. They're going to have these fun moments that say, do we really have to go to this party? Yes, we do. But we just had so much fun doing this. Oh, are you sure we should go? Yes, we should. But we just did this. Oh, all of that to me just felt like I could see it written down and I knew exactly what was going to happen. And all the emotion that was sincere happened all too quickly for me. And I didn't know whether it was funny or not. And the way that they wanted to be interpreted. That was the most confusing thing to me.
Something that I found kind of interesting is I 100% was on board with exactly what Nick said. Like, oh, like I realized that now they're going to go on a journey. They're going to do this and that and the other thing. They're going to stop here, do that. Funny thing, stop here, do that, this, that, and the other thing. When they finally get to the party, when they get to Nick's party.
Hey, your party.
Yeah, it's your party.
Hey!
Great house, by the way.
Yeah, thanks. It was my aunt's.
Is she still stuck on that cruise ship?
Yeah.
This thing
Yeah,
been a long time.
Better buy some more milk at the store because this is spoiled.
Oh, wow.
It was Carnival cruise.
Yeah, we knew. I think something that happened to me interesting is I thought this whole thing was very paint by numbers for me. Emotionally, it was telling me exactly like it was telegraphing itself a mile away. And don't get me wrong, I was still enjoying it.
Yeah,
I was having a good time. But then when all the stuff at the party starts going right for the two girls, and it's an extended period of time where like it's all going very right, I actually thought to myself for the first time ever in these movies, I was like, holy shit. Is Olivia Wilde just going to end on like, yeah, life is fun sometimes, the
A
end?
really happy note.
Like,
Like, you
I
got
wouldn't
exactly
hate
what
that.
you
And
wanted.
here's the
Like,
deal. The fact that the movie tricked me into the space thinking that could happen, it doesn't happen. That to me was when I realized that this was beyond just something that I was enjoying in the moment and was like laughing along with. I was
Yeah.
like, how did this film, this silly film, transport me to a place where I instantly was like, well, I don't know if the tropes will even happen. Like, that doesn't happen to me often in movies. It's a curse of doing. I think this will be 221, the episode number of this particular episode here of the show. The curse of seeing so many films is that you
Right.
start to kind of figure things out depending on, like, there's certain movies that try for you not to figure them out, but this is on
But
one of
you
those
know.
where, like, well, you know, either way or not, but like coming of age teenage comedy about graduating high school and partying for one night.
I think it's relatable.
It's relatable,
It's totally
but also
relatable.
like I'm saying that like with those films, I don't think I've ever been not, and I won't say surprised by them. I'll say like in the moment have a thing of like, oh God, I don't actually know where this is going to go. Like the good stuff lasted just long enough where I was like, and that to me kind of got me my thought of this film elevated a bit. Of course, then things go to shit like normal, and then there's some interesting moments of catharsis and how they sort of get through it, I think, which, again, is also fine. But that really shocked me, and I was like, oh, like I was lulled into a sense of just laughing along with this movie, and then when that sort of emotionally, like, gut-checked me, I was like, hey, movie, you're doing something a little bit, you must be doing something somewhere a little bit different because this hasn't happened before.
Yeah, it's also too like at the party, the moments that they're waiting for are actually like very, like you said, relatable, very small little moments. It's not like they're like leading up to like this like one epic thing. It's literally like having a conversation with the person that you like and having it go well and having them like flirt with you and like just like feeling that and like feeling happy for them and then having it kind of go to shit. It was heartbreaking. It truly was. Like I would say the same thing. I think it really got to me.
And also, it's funny to look at this film and the current crop of these styles of movies, and then look back at the early or the late 99s and the early 2000s I graduated. My graduating class is the class of 2000. We're doing great. We're the class of the future. But
Nice job.
we built a big 2000 out of bodies on the football field. It was great.
That was you?
Yeah, it was. So you're welcome.
Wow.
And not sorry, that sounded weird. Out of our own live bodies. We didn't just put bodies.
Oh, that sounds
That-
Oh,
much
so
better.
that wasn't you.
No.
What part?
Okay. Well, now the tables have turned.
My point is, if you look at a film that was sort of seminal to me and sort of what Hollywood thought the teenage experience was,
Right.
is like a film like Can't Hardly Wait. Did anyone see that film?
never
It was with
seen
like
it.
Seth Green. And like it was around like
might-
it was between like American Pie 2 and 3. Like it was like it had nothing to do with those films. I'm just trying to put it in a timeline. That movie is all about this kind of everyone kind of likes him, but nerdy dude who's like in love with Jennifer Love Hewitt, and
It's
like
always Jennifer Love
It
Hewitt.
really is
Don't blame
always
him.
Jennifer.
Damn it.
but
Don't blame him.
But shouldn't it be?
Shake your fist to the sky. Jennifer Love Hewitt.
But then she'd be like, "Yeah, what's wrong?" And you'd be like, "Thank you, Jennifer Love Hewitt. Go talk to
Nothing.
some ghosts."
Nothing. Never mind. Text me later.
So that movie, while had like earnest moments and there was funny things and all that jazz, like it never felt true to me to my high school experience. And something that I won't say that like the lavish party, for instance, is true, but the way that the characters actually like engaged at that final party, basically
yeah.
before the final party, everyone is. I won't even say mean, but confrontational. Everyone is sort of like, there's even like this weird thing where like at the school you're not supposed to talk about where you're going to college for some reason,
Yeah.
which is a weird sort of programming
Well,
thing about not talking
no,
about your
again,
salaries.
that was another thing. Like they had set that rule up. They were like, it's our policy that we've decided that we're not going to do this. There was a lot of
The president, Molly.
Yeah.
Molly, the main character, had made that as a rule. There was a lot of like very set straight things that never.
But
Well, she breaks it and then that sort of
yeah,
goes
but it was
away.
also briefly mentioned whenever she was in the principal's office about how she mentioned.
Yeah.
Like, it looks bad on us to talk about how, because again, her head was in.
She
one,
thought that she was the best
yeah.
one.
Yes.
Right. That's when she thought that her and her best friend were the only people that got into good schools.
Yeah. There's something. This is something I want everyone's sort of opinion on too. And actually, Jamie, I'm very interested in yours because I know you've had mixed feelings.
I'm picky.
No, you're not. No, you're not picky. And actually, honestly, some of the stuff that you've said, which is great, and why I love doing this fucking show, is like my score will be slightly adjusted by the time that we get to the end, but not in like. But that's because we're thinking about the film. But a scene that I really enjoyed and I thought was actually the first special moment of the movie was the bathroom scene. There's a co-ed bathroom, and
Oh, yeah.
also side note, don't make a big deal out of it in the film, which is great. Rock and roll. There's a co-ed bathroom, and Molly is in the stall doing some business, and then other teens sort of finish up and start talking, and these characters become like similar characters in the movie, like reoccurring characters. And one of them, all three of them are talking about Molly because Molly's being kind of like a control freak about the entirety of graduating. And they start saying some lewd comments, and then they start being mean to her, but they
They
start being
call her a butter personality.
yeah,
Oh.
and and again, like in a weird sort of like current like climate of stuff, like still mean, but like the vernacular of the times felt correct to me. Then Molly comes out of the stall, and they all get silent, and she has this kind of fucking badass little speech about like, well, enjoy peaking in high school sort of speech, like almost
Yeah.
like, and I was like, oh, cool, like empowering, like she doesn't give a shit, and then they're whatever, and then she might feel it later, but she's gonna win in this moment. And then that's when we find out in this moment that AAA, this woman who's I believe named
It's a
Annabelle,
derogatory name
a
for
derogatory nickname,
potentially promiscuous things that have happened in
In a
her
car.
career.
That says the line, the quote that I quoted in the beginning, like she may have liked giving hand jobs, but she fucking kicked ass on the SATs. And then each kid's like, well, yeah, I got into Yale for soccer or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're all
I'm
going
gonna
to
go
like
code for
really
And this other
Google.
guy's like, I'm gonna go code for Google. Like, it's not Apple, but like,
But it'll do.
but it's like 6 figures, so like, cool. And then you realize, and that's when the movie takes a turn.
Yeah.
That like, no
that was
one
the
is
catalyst for the whole
no
movie.
one is the burnout. No one is this. Like, no one's. They are not better than these other people.
I had a bit of relation to that line, not because I went to any wild school, but because like the high school that I went to, like there were a lot of party people, and like there's a moment in this movie right after the scene where someone skateboards down the hallway like through glitter
With a fire extinguisher.
Yeah,
fire
with the fire
extinguisher.
That's the Sanford
And
soccer player.
Yeah, and he's the one who was just like, bro, I'm going to Stanford to play soccer. And you realize that everyone has their futures and like
Yeah.
has been working this hard and like is actually going to like succeed, but they've also been just having fucking fun.
Right.
And like I think of a lot of the people I went to high school with when I saw that, because there was a lot of very intelligent people who I also was like, you're a mess, really?
Yeah. The way that, especially when they hit the last party, actually when they hit all the parties, no one rejects the two girls
No.
being there.
No.
No.
In
Not at
fact, a
all.
They're
lot
happy
of them
they're
are
there.
happy
They're
that they're
celebrating that
there
they're there.
because they're like, oh my god, like, and they're happy in different ways.
Yeah.
The soccer kid is like, oh, I've been waiting to party with you guys. Where have you been?
Right.
The love interest for Molly, whose name I'm
Which
blanking
I
on.
have problems with that.
Okay, well, we could talk about that right after. But he even says to her, I'm so like honored that the party I threw is the one to get you out and to come out.
Yeah.
No, yeah, there's no animosity. There's no, you can't
There's no
sit
like,
with us
what are
in
you
this movie.
doing
That doesn't
here?
happen.
Yeah, they don't get turned away. Like, yeah,
Yeah, and while I love Mean Girls, not every film has to be Mean Girls.
right.
And a lot of places aren't Mean Girls.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And so sorry. So you had a problem with I'm gonna look up his name while you talk about it.
Sure. So the character is Nick.
Oh yeah, because it was Nick's party.
Yeah.
I'm getting back to it.
I was sitting next to a Nick, and I was
Yeah,
like,
don't you
high
remember?
five.
My aunt
no,
was
that
gone.
Would be rude.
Oh, your aunt was gone at the Carnival Cruise.
That is so not set up. You know,
What's not set up?
Nick. They go through half the movie before there's ever a mention that she might like Nick, and before that, Nick has a line where you don't really look at his face during the line, and he's so inconsequential at that moment as a character that I was like shaken by them being like, oh, you have a huge crush on this guy, because I was like, what guy? The guy that was by the lockers for a second?
There wasn't.
It didn't matter to
There
me.
wasn't enough.
I didn't care that
of
she had a
those-
crush on him.
There wasn't enough of those lines. The only one that I can think of is in the principal's office where she's talking about
And
oh,
she
the,
said, yeah.
the VP. Oh yeah, well don't worry about him because that's just a popularity thing because he gets to work on the dances. And
That
kind of
was
like
it. It
yeah,
was
that
like-
was it.
yeah.
There
Well,
wasn't any more
there's
like
one moment when she tries to go over the budget numbers with him, and he's like playing a game with his friend where they're like throwing chips at each other, and she's like, "Oh my god, you're so stupid," and then she like walks away.
I'm going.
But yeah,
but it wasn't
to-
enough context.
So
like,
here's the
Well,
deal.
and there is a funny line where she's like, Nick's having a party. Of course he is. He's stupid. And that's a funny line. But I was like, there's no
You
build up
didn't
for this
get that,
person.
like,
He's a
vibe
stock
that-
character.
But here's the deal. Here's the deal.
What's the deal, Matt?
I think that if you really kind of look at it, every other character other than the two girls in the beginning of this film is cookie cutter, stock, stereotype, etc. next to them. Because the theme of this movie, until it's turned on its head, is these girls have their shit together and no one else does. Therefore, we're not going to spend much time on these people because why would we? They're not doing anything important. And then as the film moves on, everybody, not just Nick, all of the characters sort of get more moments throughout the film, down to the principal, down to the teacher, down to the kid who wanted to fuck the teacher, down to AAA, down to like even the parent, like there's a strangler that they run into their car for a piece of
Oh,
comedic
yeah.
effect. Like everyone has like a little bit more going on than the film and the perception of the two girls actually brings on. So while I do agree that Nick was not set up as a solid love interest for her, like in the way that, for instance, Amy's love interest,
Ryan.
was sort of brought up.
Very well set up.
I also think that the movie knew its pacing in a certain way. Ryan was literally the only crack in the armor about anyone that they thought was also almost equally
Like,
important
worthy.
as the thing.
Yeah.
And even so, it was done originally when it was sort of first happening, and it was great to see it in this way. This isn't a criticism, this is a compliment, in that sort of atypically male in a high school situation being like, she will be mine. oh yes, she will be mine. Like that sort of like the goal is this girl.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't worried about him,
No. What I'm saying
but
is
just the introduction of her feelings surrounding him. I understand that this movie took over it was a day and a half, 2 days.
sure, yeah.
Like however it was. So of course, her friend isn't going to bring it up all the time because it's only over 2 days.
But she does always sort of neg Nick, and every time Nick comes up, he's stupid, he's dumb, he's stupid. I hate Nick. Nick's only doing this for popular. Of course he is. Da da da. And they actually do bring up Nick's. It's always in a throwaway. I'm not saying it's not. I think I liked the fact that it wasn't telegraphed because. I don't know. By the time we got to that, I think it was after the murder mystery part.
But
I didn't need to suspect a crush. I needed to care about Nick at all. I didn't care about Nick at all.
I hated how her best friend didn't even think anything of it until the other girl was like, yeah, it's because she acts
That's
like
fair.
this. And that's what upset me because they're so close. And then, of course, there are the occasional arguments. Well, that's a secret. You know, we have secrets, but that's what keeps us close.
And like, there's that whole moment with Ryan where the other girl is just looking at her, and it goes to her sort of perspective, and there's music, and the other girl's like, "Why don't you just talk to Ryan? I know you're looking at her." And it's like, they've already set up that they're that close that they would know
Yeah.
about
That
their crushes.
you would think that they know,
Yeah.
right?
I actually, Nick, you make a
Just
very good
that
point.
woman comes in, hey, I'm this character that we saw in a classroom. By the way, you like Nick. It's because you act like this. Oh, I'm her best friend. That sets an alarm off in my head. Oh, I never thought about that.
I'm sorry. While I agree with your point, if you badmouth the character Gigi one more time, we're gonna have words.
she's
Favorite
wonderful.
character.
Wonderful.
Gigi is
Wonderful.
my
Gigi.
favorite character in this film. Holy shit. The
my God.
Billy Lord. Holy shit.
Oh, Lord.
Great job.
Gigi is this character who is literally there for comic relief, who's supposed to be like the super rich, like
Well, and plot device.
crazy
Heavy
eccentric
plot
girl.
device.
What-
She moves things along.
She does.
well, no, she's an anchor to scenes, but she doesn't move anything other than
No,
giving them
she
drugs on
definitely does.
strawberries.
She gives them information. She gives them and the drug scene.
She's
could've
always
done
there
without,
when
but,
you
like,
need her.
Oh,
Okay, like you can
hilarious.
rely on
They
Gigi.
definitely use her as like she tells them that she loves Nick. She gives them an address. Like she gives them information every time.
She doesn't give them an
see her.
address.
Oh no, I forget what.
No, but
she
she
gives
is.
them.
She's like the
She's around.
She's the hidden mom.
Yeah.
She
but,
pops up. She literally is this girl is
But every
everywhere
time you see
in
her,
the
they're
film.
like, "How did you even fucking get here?" Like,
and
it's
she's
brought
like,
up.
"How
Yeah.
did you get here?"
The
She's
elevator.
She like jumps off a boat, and then the next time you see her, she's perfectly
She's
dry.
dry.
Like, hair's amazing.
I am a
makeup's intact.
sucker. I am a sucker in any of these
She breaks
movies
the rules.
where a character, that's one character who's just either an exposition thing with a side of comedy or whatever, breaks the movie's rules. But it only works because the other characters are like actively, how did you do this? And then it's like, oh, never mind. But
Yeah,
It's
it
just
was a
Gigi
slight
being
fourth
Moving
wall
on.
break,
it
but
doesn't
was
break
well
the plot,
done.
but it breaks the rules enough for the characters literally to sort of like peek around the fourth wall to be like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah,
God, Gigi was so good in this movie.
so good.
Gigi, play us out.
Who
Dead on the piano.
Passed out on the piano.
who
Was she
was
like-
Gigi again? Who played her?
Billy Lord.
Okay.
I can tell you what Billy Lord has been in.
Yeah, you know what? Let's have a Billy Lord corner.
And Billy
Let's
Lord.
Let's just coffee shop about Billy Lord for a second.
And bring in Billy Lord.
Billy Lord,
you
if you want to
imagine?
be on this podcast, please 100% track
on,
down.
Welcome anytime.
Come on. down.
She was
There's
in.
a cat.
Oh my God, that is where I saw her. She was actually in The Force Awakens. She was like one of the side generals. Like
Of course she was.
Uh,
Of course she
she was also in Scream Queens. She was in The Last Jedi, American Horror Story for a bunch of things, and
Oh, all right.
she's actually gonna be in Rise of the Rise of Skywalker.
She's around.
So
around. We'll see more of Billy
Stu-
Lord.
she had a face that I was like, I kind of she looked like Natalie Dormer's sister, in a weird way. Tyrell.
I disagree.
Marjorie
completely.
Tyrell.
I disagree completely.
Anyway,
She was fantastic.
Get out.
I really dug her so much. Look, I guess as far as, and I know we're getting to the end of our discussion, but are there any other large points?
Yes.
Let's roll.
What was with the teacher?
Miss Fine.
Miss
Miss
Fine.
Fine, who the girls idolized completely for
what?
assuming-
For being a cool teacher.
assuming
Like-
intelligence and being a cool teacher. And I also kind of felt like it was like I don't know. Like she was a black character, and I kind of felt like a little bit they were like it's a person of color, and like it almost felt a little bit again like I was waiting for them to get kind of called out on their intensiveness of overly progressive attitude. But it wasn't that, and like I guess that was fine. Like that was fine, and I was like, okay, I don't think it's gonna be that. And I liked the actress, but like, why the teacher just goes into a high school party with no explanation as to why, and then has sex with a student who's older, so it's legal. They
20.
make a point, but with no reasoning why. And then at the end of it is just like there's an awkward scene where like. It's just it struck me as and I hate to call things problematic, but like it struck me as problematic and also completely unnecessary.
It was
and didn't go anywhere, and I was really just bothered by the whole thing.
Yeah, it was one of those things that happened too quick. There's not enough like subcontext to it. It happened in the car, and she gave them,
A funny speech.
Yeah, well,
like
Molly,
I liked
right?
the monologue.
Molly's on her phone. Her phone's about to die. She makes one phone call. We don't know who it is. And then a car shows up, nice slow motion, lights in the camera, and then here walks out Miss Fajt.
Who gave them their
Miss
number?
Fajt.
Their
Yes,
number.
she got their
Yes.
number earlier.
Which you see in the beginning of the movie. So when they are in the car, she talks about how happy she is, yada, yada, yada. I'm so happy for you too. I didn't think that you would go out, but you should do it because she
didn't, and then she
She
was a
made
mess
the
in her
same
20s.
mistake.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
did, and then she was a mess. And then that was kind of the weird relation to why she, remember,
But then she went to the
because
party.
she jokes like, oh, wouldn't that be funny if I like just happened to show up
Yeah.
and came in with you guys, like, haha, like
That car scene,
big
yeah.
smile, grin, like I kind of want to
It's
do
like
it.
she was going
And
to
then
the party, but why did she go to the party? She didn't. I don't
that's-
understand.
It was just weirdly how screwed up she was. And she like admitted to it, and she's like, "Well, I'm still going to follow through with it."
I mean,
there wasn't
here's-
enough to it.
I
There
don't
wasn't
think
enough
it
to
was necessary. I don't think it was a particularly strong moment of the film. It did feel true to the character after the sort of breakdown of it, and actually kind of true to
having
the.
sex with a student didn't feel true to that character.
No, no.
That's an incredibly dangerous thing for a teacher to do.
What I'm saying is, it felt true in the ideal of the film that we all think that these people are all one thing. And they're not. People are multiple things. People are their successes and their mistakes. And people will continually messing up, and then they will hopefully climb back out and sort of redeem themselves. I'm not saying.
Sure, they
I'm
just
not
didn't
saying,
reason any of that.
Listen to me. I'm not saying that this character or that particular situation was handled with the most care and aptness and how it honestly should be. But I did appreciate that every character in this film is a fuck up and a great person. Like, yes, that particular moment was played for a stupid joke that didn't need to be there, 100%. But every character in this movie is a wonderful human being and kind of is either dumb or a piece of shit. Like, and it's because it's what humans are. Like, I really enjoyed seeing what I considered, even though it was in, it's a party movie, so of course it's going to be heightened situations.
Right.
Characters that felt like actual people making decisions, right or wrong. And we got to go along for the ride with it because you don't get to see that a lot. A lot of times it's either ideals or heroes or villains or dumb people or smart people. And I guess here's the reason why it didn't bother me in the moment. And talking about it, yes, it does. It doesn't feel like it definitely wasn't necessary. You could have cut. I would have loved it if she never showed up again until graduation. After she's like, how weird would it be if I went in, right? Ha ha ha. And like then you don't like, because then it would be kind of like giving you a hint at it, and then she doesn't go to the party and just sort of see her at graduation and whatever. But at least that, yeah, Zoe, you're 100% correct. But at least I enjoyed seeing the faults of the great people and and then the shitty people actually being great at stuff.
Yeah.
I guess that weirdly enough, I think that's kind of my final thought of the film. I enjoyed the comedy of it, of course. I think it's a very fun movie. I think it's very well directed. I'm impressed with Olivia Wilde. The actors were phenomenal. The casting was amazing. I believe Allison Jones did the casting.
Oh my God! Wait, a note on casting. Can we talk about what was the character's name? The theater man, the boy who was hosting the murder mystery party. I would love to see
That was
more of him.
Noah Galvin.
He was
He
excellent.
was phenomenal. Like he was another like character who was kind of there for like comedic relief and just had these like little lines, but I thought he was such a strong character and he was so funny. Like I want to give him a shout out because he was fantastic.
And lastly for me,
We're just gonna shout out side characters.
lastly for me, the character Jared, who was this hilarious guy.
The rich kid.
His parents were rich, his grandparents were rich.
Yes,
Important character.
And
important
he
character.
was
Yes.
the one that was just trying to win everyone over by being rich. Not like crazy driving up in a Lamborghini, but crazy driving up in this flame painted
Pontiac.
with his luscious hot looking girlfriend who clearly was older than everyone there. Like I don't even think she was in high school. I don't think
No,
that was Gigi.
that's who did I say? I meant Gigi.
Oh no, Gigi. No, Gigi was still a student there. She was in the class too.
Oh, either way, but she's like, this like hot looking girl and
And it turned. Yeah.
and he's just wearing all this like these gold chains.
His own
and
face on his
kinda-
t-shirt.
Kind of like
Again,
people are gonna hate me for
a
saying
meme that
this.
is online already.
People are gonna hate me
T-shirt,
for
the
saying
face
this,
of
but
the
kind of like
business.
L.A. ghetto rich, where it's not like baggy pants and all this stuff, but like kind of like big flowing jackets, gold chains, but like polo shirts. And his character I thought was super funny, and he kind of had a whole I'm misrepresented type of thing at the end of the movie,
Yeah.
and then him and Molly have a heart to heart that happens for about a minute, and he's like, this isn't me, like and she told him, well, be yourself. You don't have to win people over by showing how much money you have. And
He had a good arc.
I actually
he
really
had a
liked.
great arc.
I liked that they sort of explained he and Gigi's relationship because everyone assumed that they were dating, but like they never were. They were just all
Best
really
friends.
good friends.
Yeah.
Kind of like Amy's parents thought Amy and Molly were dating.
Oh my
So there was a
God. That was
weird
hilarious.
dichotomy between that character and Gigi with the two main characters,
Her parents were hilarious.
Lisa
as
Kudrow
well.
and why am I blank?
Will Forte.
Will Forte. Thank you.
so good.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I gave my final thoughts. I think this movie is definitely worth people's time. I think you should go check it out. It is not without its individual small flaws. I do see that now. And actually, Jamie, to be perfectly honest, you've knocked my 1 down to a 2.
Wow.
Wow.
So no, and seriously, like the points you've brought up are 100% legitimate. And in the moment of the film, they did not bother me. In hindsight,
Well, and I think that
Yeah.
that's I think that that's built of perhaps good directing. Like I was watching it and I was like, the beats are there. This is well filmed. This there's so much about this that kind of makes me really. I really like. I was on the journey with the film, and usually my problems with films are actually the opposite, where I'm frustrated by how scenes are cut or something seems like it's left out because of the way something is shot. And in this, it was the opposite. I felt really like, with the exception of maybe 1 or 2 seconds, I was like, everything feels exactly right. I'm moving at the rhythm I need to be moving at, and everything was really well timed. Actors, loved every single actor. I think it was the script that bugged me.
yeah. Fair.
Fair.
Kristen?
I think I agree that I loved every single actor. I will say, one of my biggest frustrations with movies is that there's always 1 or 2 actors that I just think are not strong or kind of unnecessary. And I guess maybe I kind of feel that way with Miss Fine, but other than that, I think the cast was super, super strong, and they were what engaged me the most in this movie. And I think overall it has very sweet moments. It has very relatable moments. I think it is nice also to see a movie that's in the same vein as Superbad or 21 Jump Street, but with women. I think that's really cool. And overall, I think I had just a lot of fun. I feel like this movie is just fun. It's not, it has some very sweet, very tender moments, but overall, I had a good time watching it. I was very engaged in it, and yeah.
Nicholas, bring us home.
Yeah, this is actually not related. It's about earlier when Jamie went through and saw Medieval Times. For those of you,
You've been thinking about this all podcast.
For those of you that are typing right now to call me out, I said it was from Grown Ups that you passed through that set. It's from Role Models.
You drove through the set of role models.
Where they LARP, which is not
Yes.
even a medieval times thing.
Yes.
That is a live action role playing game.
I
Yes.
went to a medieval times.
However, so you hit backspace on that review right now.
Yeah.
and,
yeah.
call me out.
Thank you for
Yeah.
clearing that up. That's it. That's your
That's
final
it.
thoughts.
That's it.
That's
Yeah,
it, that's
yeah.
Okay.
Great acting. 2.5 still.
Okay, so my
Solid.
needle's the only one that shifted. That's a weird turn of events for this podcast. This has been the only podcast about the film Booksmart. Everybody, thank you so much for coming and helping
you.
me out
Thank
in
you,
our wayward
Matt.
New Zealanders' stead. I'm going to go around the room. Jamie, when you are not changing my mind about film with very poignant points, where can folks find you?
I can be found on Instagram at jimjam_Walsh, and on Twitter, I believe at the same. I'm very bad at tweeting. Sorry in advance.
Fair. Kristen, when you
Yes.
are not crushing it with both Jake Pake and Simon Koss,
Wow.
guests of the podcast from other episodes that you are working with, where can
Yes.
folks find you?
I am also on the gram, as the kids are
Whoa.
saying these days, at Fajt, Fajt. I do not tweet, so that's where you can find me, guys.
All right. And Nicholas, when you are not flying your completely licensed drone for
Yes.
fun and profit,
Yes.
where can folks find you?
You can find me at 345 Hudson Street. You can find me on Insta. That's actually what the kids are calling it now.
Oh, sorry.
At Parkatron, PARK3RTRON.
Fair.
And you can also see my work on Parkatron Aerials on Instagram.
Nice. Also, if Yeti is listening, the wonderful cooler
Oh,
company,
boy.
Yes.
you can find Nick Parker's work on Yeti, or Yeti's work on Nick Parker
Yes,
all over
yes.
your
We can talk
entire
about
apartment.
And,
brand
uh,
ambassadorship later.
And I'm one
Yeah.
of the few, probably about 1,000 people that rollerblade in New York City. So you can
He's
you
there.
can catch me
Lady
out.
Rollerblading.
You
Yeah.
can catch me outside.
And you can catch me inside because that's where I spend most of my time at mattthewkrl.com for my life and works. Also Skeletor, the number 4 PREZ on Instagram and PSN, and Emperor MSK on Twitter.
Have you done this before?
I have. Zoe and I actually who's looking at me very weird right now, just filmed a little music video with John Mellencamp. So you can check that out on Twitter. Also, please go check out the good works we're doing over on Ye Old Extra Credits Machine at the YouTube box. I believe this week. What are we? I'm going to turn around and look at my things. Oh, look, we are actually doing something this week. It'll have launched before this podcast on save scumming, which is a terminology for when you reload a video game over and over from a point to try to get the optimum outcome. Like if you do a thing and fail, do a thing and succeed, but not all the way through, do a thing again until you get the optimum result. Is that cheating or is it not?
Ooh.
Big debate in the gaming community, so you can check that out over there. We also have some good mythology stuff. I believe we do Akuna Nushi's Tale, I believe dropped last Monday. And we'll have the Myths Matter for that section on Japanese myths coming out, I believe, the same day this podcast does.
Man,
So-
when Shahir's not here, you really go full EC.
I have to. Well, also, I go fully see when Shahir is here. Also, please check out Shahir's work at shahirdaud.com. That's SHAHIRDAUD.com for all of his stuff. And please email us in at onlymoviepodcast@gmail.com or tweet at us at onlymoviepod. Tell us what you thought of Booksmart. Were we smart about the books? Or were the books hitting us over the head with what they might consider being smart?
Oh.
Yes, do write in, and Matt, please share responses because I'm very interested to know what my friend loved this movie, and I'm really interested to know what the general public feels about it because I can't wait to talk to other people aside from us four.
We
You
will
know
keep-
other people?
Yeah, get out.
I know at least 6.
We will keep everyone abreast of the situation, of course, because we like reading out those emails you send in. So please send them in, and we will chit chat about it. Until next week, Shahir will be back. You'll all be gone.
Sad.
It's very sad, but I thank you again for coming and hanging out and doing this so late. And
Thank you for having us.
I really appreciate it.
Matt, did you want me to plug in that your phone to play your music over?
Oh yeah, here we go. Yeah, just plug it in right here. And oh wait, no.